Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Today, we get to talk about first-hand and second-hand accounts. Just for a real quick review, we went over a first-hand account is a primary source. It's something that you have experienced, something you witnessed or you saw. These are journals, these are letters, autobiographies, these are speeches, these are photos, and sometimes what we post to the internet, like in Instagram or TikTok. A secondhand account is a secondary source, and it's a description of an event. We were not there to witness it. We watched from afar. Or secondhand account is a secondary source. We were not there to witness it. We had to read something or look at something or research something in order to know what was going on. Things like textbooks are secondhand accounts. Biographies are secondhand accounts. When a friend writes a biography about you, they did not live your life, but they are writing about your life. Also, informational books. Think back to when we were studying about ecosystems. Those ecosystems, we have not experienced all ecosystems. I want to know how many of you have been to Antarctica. And while you're experts on them now, did you ever really go there? No. You use somebody else's research to help you understand what Antarctica is like. Today, I have a couple of snippets that I want us to look at reading-wise. They are about COVID-19 because this is something that we're all experiencing right now. We have first-hand accounts and we have second-hand accounts or secondary sources. What I want us to do is on a piece of paper, I want you to answer your questions, and when we're done, you're going to send us a picture of what you finished writing about, okay? So, follow along as I read out loud. COVID-19. I coughed a little bit, just enough to worry the people I was with here. We were out working, covering this story. I started to have a little bit of a cough that worried me. For the most part, I feel okay. As we know, this is a deadly virus. It can be incredibly serious, a major respiratory illness. That's in our chest. Respiratory is in our chest. So far, I've been lucky. I have a chest pressure. I've had a chest pressure almost like you feel like you've done a big chest workout. I've had a little bit of a cough. I had a relatively mild fever. I've had kind of a weird aches and pains in places I'm not used to. But honestly, I feel like I had colds and flus worse than this. I've never been totally out for the whole day in bed. I've been up, able to talk with people. For me, luckily, it's been quite mild. From whose point of view is this written? It helps me always to look at the language that's being used. So I see the word I over and over again. And while I don't know this person's name, I do know that this person is writing about their experience. What words help you identify this? Pretty simple. What words helped us identify this? Let's try this one. How does COVID-19 affect people? The most common symptoms of COVID-19 include fever, cough, and shortness of breath. Once someone has the virus, it may take 2 to 14 days for them to start feeling sick. Scientists say most people who get the virus will be able to fight it like a bad case of the flu. Some people will not even realize they've had the virus. However, it will be harder for the elderly people with conditions like heart disease to fight the virus. In worst cases, COVID-19 can cause death. Fortunately, death is unlikely, woohoo, for infected children and teenagers. Okay, so question 1. We're just going to keep going down. Question 1. From whose point of view was this written? Well, let's see here. Let's go back and look at some of the language used. The most common symptoms of COVID-19 are shortness of breath. Once someone has the virus, it may take 2 to 14 days for them to start feeling sick. For them, remember last time we talked about the word them? There's that people. Some people, in worst cases is talking about somebody else. There's that word people again. All of these words are going to help me decide from whose point of view this is written. If somebody's talking about those people and them over there, they're not talking about their experience, right? We don't see the word I or we in here. So maybe this is written from a teacher's point of view, or a nurse's point of view, or a doctor's point of view. From whose point of view is this written? I'll let you decide who you think this is from. Your job today is that you actually get to become the writer. Oftentimes when we teach reading, we forget to give you the pencil and write about the things that are important to you. Because we are all in this together and because we are all separated, we feel very disconnected. What we want to hear about is your story. So is that first-hand account or second-hand account if I'm writing about me? That would be a first-hand account. So we're going to write a story about your experience with COVID-19. Now, maybe you're very lucky and you've never experienced it. You've never had the sickness, but you have been quarantined for 5 weeks now. What has your experience been like? Remember that first day that we told you weren't supposed to come back to school because we could all get sick? What was that like? How did you feel? Remember when your mom went, or your dad, or your grandma, or your grandpa, or your house parents, or your auntie, or your uncle, or your friends went to the store for the first time and there was not a lot of food? Do you remember that feeling? Were you scared? Were you nervous? Did you think, this is no big deal? We want to hear about your story. Then I want you to ask a friend about their experience. I want you to write down what they tell you. That friend, please don't go see them, but call them, ask your mom, ask your dad, ask your brother, ask your sister. Find somebody and write down their experience. You are now the researcher. When you're done with that, I want you to look at the two of them and I want you to think, how are these different? Did we have any similarities? Did we have any differences? Is my experience crazy compared to their experience, or vice versa? I want to hear your stories and I want to see what you've gone through. When you're done with that, you're going to upload everything into Google Drive, just like we've done with everything else for these classes. And we're going to share our stories with each other. Because one of the hardest things right now, guys, while we can't see each other every single day, is that camaraderie, that means friendship, that we no longer have. When I'm feeling sad and frustrated and I come to school, I see my kids, I see you guys. And some days, I know I'm just grumpy, but some days, having you just come up and say, hi, Miss Chambers, how are you? And hugging me or touching me or smiling at me and waving quietly in the hallway, it just makes my day. You support me. You help me become a better person. Right now, we're not getting that with each other. So maybe by sharing our stories, we won't feel so alone. Maybe by sharing our stories, we can feel a little bit more connected. This is a very special time in our world's history. You guys are experiencing something that our history books will write about one day. You will be able to tell your grandchildren and your children, when I experienced this, it was like this. And you'll be able to be a primary source and give a firsthand account. This is very, very special. So please take this seriously and write about what you have experienced in the last couple of weeks. Remember, there's no right or wrong way. I just want to know how you were feeling and maybe some of the things that you walked through. Maybe it was seeing gas prices drop. Maybe it was your mom and dad are finally home and you've missed them so much. Maybe your dog is thinking, I want you guys to go back to school. I don't know, but I do want to hear your voice and I want to see your work. So I have had a great week with you. I hope that you had a great week learning about firsthand and secondhand accounts. For those of you who are going to become detectives and historians and lawyers, this is really important information, and it's going to help you one day. Love you, and I'll talk with you soon. Have a good day.